A Chinese company planning a $23 billion offer for chip maker Micron. My expert panelists are here. They're going to share their views. Geek Factory CEO Peter Shankman and the author of Appitalize on Your Idea, Justin Esgar, are here. So, Peter, I should also say you are an author of Zombie Loyalist.
Yes,
you even brought me
I
a
brought you a
zombie,
zombie.
which is just
Everyone
awesome.
should bring people zombies.
He'll sit right here near my water. But China getting into memory chips. What is your take?
You know, it makes sense. They are secretly producing all of our products anyway. You know, or not so secretly.
Yeah.
You know, between Apple and GoPro and everything like that. It doesn't surprise me. The question really is, how long can China keep doing this before the quote-unquote bubble bursts and blood starts running in the streets?
What does it mean for South Korea's Samsung, SK Hynix, and then you have Japan's Toshiba? Because really, these are the other companies making these chips, Justin.
Yeah, so with China buying it in, they're trying to lower the price for their own companies like Lenovo and Xiaomi, the cell phone provider. And to not have to import them and lower the price will make it a lot better for them, and they can produce cheaper products and be able to sell them at a lower rate.
Okay, so cheaper products, and we should confirm, you know, it's eyeing this acquisition.
Right, they haven't
has not
done it.
actually
It hasn't happened.
These
Yeah.
are according to numerous reports. Does that mean we all pay less for our devices?
Look, competition is great for the end consumer. I think that at this point, the chips are like sort of the least expensive issue in the devices itself. You know, it's certainly going to help in China, as Justin said. But again, I think the real issue, that's a lot of real money. You know, you're looking at a lot of real money there, and I'm just curious that China is spending. They're like the kid who finds a wallet and just spends and spends and spends and doesn't realize that it ever empties.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I'm worried about that.
You are worried about
Yeah, a
that.
little
You
bit.
think there's a bubble, even as far as investing goes. I saw a blog post the other day. If you are trying to get a company off the ground here, and actually the title was "Can't Get VC Support in the U.S.
Right.
Take money from China."
Right, but that same article was, you know, can't get support overseas, come to America in 2000 if you have a .com. And I like to play it safe in that regard. I'm a little concerned about that.
I think it's a good strategy, Alan, for China, because I think it's a step in the right direction. And if it can lower the price of devices here, go for it.
All right. Speaking of going for it, Netflix earnings preview. Subscribers seem happy, but like China, Netflix is spending big bucks for content.
Yeah, their big thing is that they decided, hey, we need to create the content, and it worked for them. It was a great plan. Everyone else is starting to do it now. And especially my biggest concern for them is Showtime and HBO producing their own content and allowing people to cut the cord, not needing a plan. So if you can get content in terms of Game of Thrones and Shameless and all those things now without needing a cable plan, does that affect Netflix? I don't know the answer.
What is your take on how Netflix is growing?
So Netflix actually grew the best because people didn't see it as a cord-cutting way. They added it as an addition, so people were paying for television
So they're
and
already
Netflix.
used to paying.
They're already used to paying for Netflix, and it's not like Netflix is that expensive. And the content that Netflix is putting out now, Daredevil, Sense8, the Kimmy Show, like, they're amazing shows, and they're on par with the shows that HBO is putting hundreds of millions of dollars into.
What it reminded me of when Fox actually bought Major League Baseball. And the quote in the New York Times read, Rupert Murdoch reached into his never-ending pocket and decided to just spend as much as it costs to get baseball. And I worry about that because is there a never-ending pocket for Netflix to create this great content? You know, look, you get House of Cards fans, they love this stuff, but this stuff does not come cheap.
Right.
So if they have the customers and the customers to back it up for that revenue, by all means, great.
There was some study. I don't want to quote it, but there was something like people under the highest percentage was people under 30, people that love this service, and
well, they've grown up with it. That's all they know.
And of all the services that are out there, personally, it's the only one that I pay for.
I pay for Hulu too.
Yeah, I'm with you, Peter.
Seinfeld on Hulu.
The Seinfeld.
Gotta love Seinfeld on Hulu.
I just started watching the first few episodes, and they are awesome. Snapchat redesigning, basically putting the spotlight on this Discover News portal, which I think is interesting. What is your take?
They're trying to grow up, honestly. They're trying to get away from what people know Snapchat is, and it's their push. And it's also a way for them to start making money on ads. But the user base is kind of fighting it a little bit.
Look, we all know Snapchat as to what it was, right? my question is, if I go, and I have it on my phone. I think I've used it once since I got this phone. I just wonder, when I think news, when I think information, I'm not going to that screen, and I don't think the kids are either. You know, those darn youngins with their Snapgrams and Instachats. I don't think they're going there.
Social
they're going, if they want news, they're going to Google. They're just Googling what's news.
They're on their Facebook page, and we know that Mark Zuckerberg has made it a lot easier by signing these content deals with publishers to.
I think there's something Snapchat had to do just to say they did it. I don't actually think it's going to do any
Okay, had to show some signs of growing up. All right, hold those thoughts. We are going to be back in a few more from Justin and Peter. Going to be talking about the head of Google's YouTube saying the new service is different than Spotify, Apple Music, or Pandora. We are going to tell you why she thinks it's magical. And swiping right without actually swiping, we are going to tell you how an app is using your heartbeat to help you find love.
Playing games with my heart, with my heart, I should.
Google's YouTube will relaunch its music streaming service, Music Key, that is the name, later this year. Peter Shankman, Justin Esgar back with me now. So, Justin, is this going to compete with Apple Music and Spotify?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about this. They'll say they're
Even
saying
though Susan would just
but
be
it's not
saying
that.
that.
No. It's the same. It's completely going to compete with it. And the fact is like I don't really want to watch music videos like on my commute. I just kind of sit there with my earbuds in and listen to music. For $10 a month to watch music videos and to like curate my own stuff, it's so much easier for me to just go to another service and just press a couple songs.
And she's really pushing this, but you can see the artist perform, and that's what makes it magical. But I'm with you. I mean, or even if you're jogging in the park, you don't really care.
That was my first thought. Right. Wait until the first person jogging falls over, or the first person driving, watching his YouTube music video and smacks into another car. That's, we're going to get there. People are that stupid.
I guess at this point, they have to say something, right? This is her job. She runs YouTube.
Right.
She has to say, we're different.
They need that differentiator, right? And this is what it is. YouTube is videos, no matter what it is. Music videos, cat videos is fine. But to say they're not going to compete with Apple Music or Spotify is kind of...
Also, if you do the math, how many people use Spotify in their office, all right? Or use Spotify when they're working on their own, or listen to headphones as they're in Starbucks typing away? They're using it as background noise. They're not using it to focus. When you're watching a video, you're focusing on watching a video.
Right.
If I'm not watching the video, why am I using this service to begin with?
Right, and that's essentially what she's saying is for the first time you can kind of use this as background music, but I agree that the visual element seems in this case a bit misplaced or just unnecessary. Speaking of which, necessary or unnecessary, we don't know, the three of us already taken, but hands-free Tinder using your heartbeat to swipe right. But you have an Apple Watch,
I do.
so you can get that little heart from your wife, right?
Sure. Well, she has to have one also, but being on, like, to come on TV, anyone gets nervous. I'd have 7 dates by the end of this.
Oh, meaning that your heartbeat
yeah, because
is like...
Tinder would be like, oh my God, we got to get him 7 more dates. Like, it's just, and there's so many flaws about this. Like, what if someone has a heart condition? Like, they really need to take this into consideration.
I think Tinder is more for younger people. I'm assuming that don't have heart conditions.
No,
I'm
just imagining, right, what other things can you do? You see people go to a party, they do 3 lines of coke, all of a sudden they're dating for the next 4 years.
Exactly.
No, it's cute. It's a cute idea. It's exactly that. It's a cute idea.
It's marketing.
Exactly. It's a stunt. It's a stunt.
It's a stunt, and it's a play on what technology is right now. Let's take advantage of what we have. Then instead of looking toward the future, let's just say the Apple Watch can do this. Let's take advantage of it and see what we can do and try to make some money on it.
Take it a step further. What if all of a sudden I see an ex-girlfriend? Oh my God! No, I didn't want to do that. Forget it. You're ruined.
All right,
You're ruined.
Peter. All right, we need to get Peter drinks. There's a lot more stories there. Speaking of controversy, Greek may have to sell some islands and some nature preserves and, these ancient ruins, the Greek islands. So essentially, there was this privatization fund, $50 billion, which some say was probably the most bitter pill, right, that the Greeks had to swallow. It's essentially in like an escrow account, just in case you don't pay your debt this time around, we're going to just take these islands.
I think that you're right, it's a totally bitter pill, but what's going to make it worse or better is depending on who would take those islands. If UNESCO comes in and says, okay, it's a cultural heritage site, fine. If Richard Branson comes in and says, great, we're going to make Virgin Greece, well, then we got a problem.
Well, not for Branson. I guess.
Right, obviously, but for
I was thinking even worse. Like, what if Disney came in and bought them?
Disney
right?
Greece.
Like Disney or Jurassic World Greece or something like that.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's up for grabs, and I kind of, my heart breaks a little bit for the people who live there because to
sell the Acropolis. I mean, would we ever sell the Triborough? I mean, it's just that's a little scary.
I like that you put the Acropolis and the Triborough.
Statue of Liberty.
No, they're totally on par with one another.
I appreciate this.
Pretty bridge.
That's why he wrote the book about zombie lilas. All right, great to see you both. Thank you for coming in. Peter Shankman, Justin Esgar joining me there. When we come back, one company making it easy.